If you have VA loan benefits, stop scrolling. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through how to use your VA loan benefits to purchase a home, how much it actually costs, and 3 mistakes that I commonly see people make when using their VA loans. So let's get into it.
So first, what exactly is a VA loan? Well, I'll tell you. VA loan is just a loan that is backed by our government, and it's meant for military members that could be active duty, that could be retired, that could be disabled, and it could even be for some surviving spouses. So the VA doesn't actually lend you the money directly. They lend it to you via a private lender. So the big importance of it is even though they're not directly giving you the money, they guarantee a certain portion of it. So that's what makes the VA loan very powerful in most people's eyes. So that guarantee is why you get three huge advantages. One of them is no down payment because you have zero down when you're using a VA loan. The second one is no private mortgage insurance. A lot of loans, you will actually have to do private mortgage insurance unless you do a certain amount down. And then last but not least is competitive rates. Now you're going to get much better rates with a VA loan than you would a conventional loan. So overall, for most families that I help come into Fort Bragg, what it really means is helping them get into a home that doesn't mean draining their savings to get into it. All right, so who is eligible for a VA loan? Well, that's easy to determine because if you're eligible, you already have something called a certificate of eligibility. So you definitely want to get your certificate of eligibility out of the way as quick as possible. That's going to be your step one, just so that way you know that you are in fact eligible and there's not going to be any surprises later down the road. So now let's talk about the process because this is where I add my value as your agent. So step one, you definitely want to be pre-approved. And the reason for that is I don't want to take you to homes and make you fall in love with homes that are either out of your price range or below your price range. You may be able to afford more, or I might get your hopes up for something that you're just not eligible for right now. So now that we have your pre-approval, now we're going to start looking at homes. Now, during our search, I can go through the MLS, Zillow, Trulia, all of the things, and search all of the counties that you may be interested in. Now, normally, if you're coming to Fort Bragg, I would recommend staying around the Fayetteville, Rayford area, or even Moore County. So that way you're pretty close to Fort Bragg. But don't worry, I don't expect you to know that because most likely, if you're using a VA loan and you're coming to Fort Bragg, you're probably not familiar with the area. So I'm going to keep you updated on anything that's close to the area that you're going to be working in that might appeal to you. Now, let's talk VA appraisals. So the VA appraisal process is pretty much the same process, but there are different things that may be flagged on a VA appraisal that would not be flagged on a conventional loan. And that's where I come into the picture. So as we're going around from home to home, or if I'm doing video tours for you, I'm looking for these things that may flag on a VA appraisal. Now, don't confuse an appraisal for an inspection. An inspection is totally different. So an appraisal is just basically an appraiser coming in, making sure that the home is safe, sound, and sanitary for our veteran or our active duty member. Now, an inspection is when an actual inspector comes through with a fine-tooth comb and picks apart the home right down to every electrical outlet. So our last step is basically underwriting and closing. So once we've found the home, we've had our appraisal and our inspections and all of that good stuff, now you're going to come to underwriting and closing. Now, what makes this different for a VA buyer? Well, of course, you don't have to have as much money because there's no down payment. The only thing you might have to cover is your closing costs. And even in some cases, I might be able to get that covered by the seller. So the last step is just keys in hand. Now you're a homeowner. The process looks a lot harder than it really is. So here's the part that I really want you to pay attention to. These are 3 mistakes that I commonly see with families that are PCSing to Fort Bragg. Mistake number 1 is waiting until you land here in Fort Bragg before you even start the process, because then you're behind. So we can actually, whether you're coming from Colorado or California, it doesn't matter. We can start that process before you ever even get here by doing virtual tours, by getting your pre-approval over the internet and on the phone. There's so many things that we can do before you actually get here. That way you're ahead of the game. And once you do get here, you already have your home ready. So mistake number two is thinking that a VA loan is not looked at as good as other loans or even cash buyers. As long as that offer is written good and your agent knows how to position it well, then you will stand up just fine against all other offers. All right, guys, the last mistake is not using an agent who understands military timelines. PCS timelines are not flexible. You are going to leave when the military tells you to leave, and you're going to arrive when they tell you to arrive. And there's nothing anybody can do about that. So your agent needs to understand that they have a tight timeline that they have to work within. So if you are using a VA loan, if you're getting stationed here to Fort Bragg, then I would love to be the agent that walks you through this process. I have helped lots and lots of military families processing in here using VA loans. So if you are PCSing to Fort Bragg anytime soon or even in the next couple years, go ahead and write below certificate of eligibility. That way I can send you a lender and that lender can go ahead and get that ball rolling. Again, guys, my name is Nicole Martinez. I'm a realtor with ERA Strother and I help all families in Fayetteville and surrounding areas. I hope to hear from you soon. My number is 910-587-0076. Make sure you like this video and subscribe, guys. See you later. Bye.